Kyle, sometimes in this world, we encounter people who seem like they are good, kind-hearted folk.
True.
And sometimes they will murder you dead.
I'm sorry. All right, do your glasses have lenses?
My glasses, of course, do not have lenses, because this is a facade, Kyle. Much like some of these men, Kyle, who is actually the scariest fucker in the world ever. They have to be profoundly terrifying. Number two, it has to be an unexpected turn of their character. So we can't know that they're really terrifying until it's too late. Despite this, we still really like them.
We're going off of an actor.
It's kind of nebulous. Their roles are going to blend into one, and you're going to realize that they themselves are probably closer to the character than you think. John Lithgow takes this for me. In season 4 of Dexter, Lithgow is playing Dexter's rival serial killer. He's the Trinity Killer. This man, with no remorse, just goes and grabs all these people all the time. He selects them. He very carefully selects them, very methodically, goes to the hardware store, finds the hammer he's going to use to bludgeon this person with. And then he goes and he bludgeons this person with that hammer. And he yells at them, of course, about how calls him his father, and he throws the mother off the balcony, and he calls him mother. This person is terrifying.
Bryan Cranston, particularly as Walter White, also known as Mr. Heisenberg. This man scares the ever-loving piss out of me. He goes from being such a mild-mannered little dude, he just looks meek. But then you give that man cancer, and you tell that man that there's just no way to pay for cancer treatment. He's strangling people. He's dissolving bodies in rubber bins, making shit explode. He's torturing people, and he's doing it all in the name of money. And this was a good man. This was a good man who just, at the end of his rope, decided, you know what? I'm gonna be the scariest ma on the planet.
Sure. Problem is, you're still going up against John Lithgow. In Third Rock from the Sun, Lithgow plays the silliest man in the world as an alien who's trying to be a human, and it's hilarious, and we laugh because it's so whimsical. And then he comes in to Dexter, and we see him for the first time in Dexter, and the premise is that he is, this upstanding father, and he's so good and kind-hearted, and we all go, that's John Lithgow, that's Dick Solomon, this is gonna be really funny. And then suddenly, he walks into someone's house and he strangles a woman and bleeds her out. You get this moment of, what did he do just now? And why did he do it? Dick Solomon, that's not how humans act. And he says, this is how I act.
You want to talk about somebody whose previous history really just makes it as big of a 180 as possible.
Okay.
Bryan Cranston spent a lot of years, I think it might have been as many as 10 years, on Malcolm in the Middle. Bryan Cranston plays Hal, the bumbling idiot father, on Malcolm in the Middle for years. And he is the most charming character, if not the only charming character, on the show. Because he's just so innocent and childlike in his joy and his fear of his own wife, and his anger at things not going his way. And then he goes into Breaking Bad. He boiled down every single piece of Walter White down to the costume. He insisted on wearing tighty whities. And they asked him why, and he said, because it's the definition of pathetic. And when it came time, shaved his head. And when it came time, turned the mustache into a flaming goatee of evil. He in and of himself is a very scary person because he knows Walter White to the point where you'd think it was a real person.
I know that Bryan Cranston is a dear, sweet man as well, but I think Lithgow is a little dearer and sweeter, which is a little bit why we like him so much, despite the fact that he plays such an evil person. He has a scene where he finds his son did something he didn't like. It doesn't even matter what. He breaks his 2 fingers. Just cold, just stone cold. Just, son, don't break your fingers. And he breaks his fingers. On some level, we root for him a little bit. We're like, we kind of want you to win. I mean, you're the worst, most evil thing in this show with many evil things, but we kind of want you to win. And at the end of season 4, we kind of say, good show, because he still gets the last laugh.
Well, hey, you have to love Bryan Cranston. When he's not Walter White, everything he's in, he makes me smile.
Okay.
Particularly Argo. Just for the brief moments he's in Argo, he lights up the room. He lights up the room really in anything he's in because he knows what's funny about himself. And he plays it so honestly. He's so honest about, I'm a middle-aged man. I look like your father.
I'm not so much scared of Bryan Cranston in Breaking Bad because it's hard for me to get through that show. Not a bad show. It's just, he's so depressing. I can't stand to get further. I don't really think I have to see what happens to him. I will, but I don't want to. Lithgow, I want to see what he's going to do.
Chris, the Trinity Killer, John Lithgow, he's a murdering bastard. We know that. But Bryan Cranston as Walter White, it's so scary because you get to watch the evolution of him and his morals drip away and he becomes a monster. Always the scariest thing to see in a horror movie is someone becoming the monster. And in this case, we get to see it over the course of 4, 5, 6 years. Whereas John Lithgow, in Dexter, he starts as a monster. Sure, it was unexpected because it's John Lithgow, but, you know, he's played villains before. I don't know if you've seen a little movie called Cliffhanger. Well, actually, I'd be surprised if you did, to be honest, because it's Cliffhanger.
So Lithgow wins, mostly as Dan was saying, Dan is personally terrified of Lithgow. And
which is fair.
Yeah, and he's not the hero. At least Bryan Cranston plays the hero. For my final word, I'm actually going to steal your idea, Kyle.
Okay.
That's how it works. I won, so I steal your idea. Bryan Cranston should play Lex Luthor in Man of Steel 2.
Absolutely.
And it was my idea.
No, it was mine that you stole.
No.